My name is Skyler, and I work at the Port of Brookings Harbor. I am making this video today as a concerned citizen, not as an agent of the port. However, I'm sure my experiences at the port will certainly contribute to what I have to say. I've heard many rumors regarding the recent recall. I've seen a lot of misinformation on social media, and actually even in the paper today there were a few inaccuracies concerning the recall. So I want to clarify things and dispel the rumors, and that is why I'm making this video. So one of the big questions I've been seeing on social media is, who is Skyler? A lot of you don't know me. You're wondering, why is Skyler's name on the recall? What is his position at the port? Doesn't he just sit at the front desk? So let me speak to that for a moment. I grew up in Brookings. I graduated from Brookings Harbor High School. I went on to receive a bachelor's degree in Spanish language and literature from Portland State University. After that, I traveled throughout various countries teaching English. And then I moved back to Brookings because I feel this is my home. My family's here, my friends are here, and it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. When I moved back, there were no available positions for teaching at the local district, and so I was lucky enough to find a job working in administration at the port office. It's been awesome working there. I love the port. I think obviously we all love and care for the port, and we want it to do well. And working under the port manager, Gary Dellinger, was a great experience. Everything was organized, as transparent as could be, and I think the public knows that. And if you were to go to public meetings in the past, it's very confusing considering the comments made by commissioners regarding Dellinger's work and progress that he was making, and they gave him constant accolades. And so that just adds to the confusion of his sudden termination. But in terms of my position at the port and the duties that I fulfill, if you were to ask any of us, my coworkers or myself, what our duties are, what our title is, we don't really know, because we wear so many hats throughout the day because we're so short-staffed. There are really only 3 of us in the office on a daily basis, and we just do so much. It's overwhelming. So for example, you might have noticed that the boat repair yard is cleaner and more organized than it used to be. I wrote the affidavits to declare some of those old vessels abandoned. I wrote the guideline for the port concerning the lien process and how to foreclose on a lien. I initiated the public auction through publicsurplus.com so that we have an effective way to manage port surplus. I have helped draft leases. I wrote the invitation to bid for the new launch boarding docks at the launch ramp through the Oregon State Marine Board. I wrote the addenda for that ITB. So a lot of what I do has to do with paperwork, some legal stuff, and keeping the port moving in the right direction. And of course, if people come in and they need to make a payment or they would like moorage, I can help them with that as well. So the port staff, we work hard, we work together, we motivate each other, and we sort of just show up and apply the skills we have, do what we can as it comes, and that's all we can really do. So I think that's my best answer for what I do at the port. I've heard many rumors about who started the recall, and let me be very clear. I, Skyler Wyndham, started the recalls, and technically there are 4, and there was some misinformation in the newspaper today, so let me be clear about the technical details of the recalls. So before you can start a petition to recall a port commissioner, you must form one committee for each individual you intend to recall. So I created 4 separate committees to recall each of the port commissioners. There is the committee to recall Christian, the committee to recall Martin, the committee to recall Thompson, and the committee to recall Barbas. I hold 2 positions on each of those committees. I am the treasurer and I am the chief petitioner on each of those committees. So I file the organization paperwork with the state of Oregon. After that, I go to the county elections office with a prospective petition, and that then is approved or denied based on the purpose of the petition. So technically I hold 8 positions on 4 committees that I created myself. There is no one else behind the recall in terms of getting it started and wanting to see it through. I've heard that the previous port manager, Ted Fitzgerald, is somehow behind it all. That is utter rumor. It's not true. I've heard Commissioner Roy Davis is behind it. Also untrue. I myself started it, and I am solely responsible for initiating the recalls. I would like to throw out there that I personally do not know Mr. Fitzgerald. We've met a few occasions. It's always been courteous and polite, and I don't really know him personally, so I can't speak for him, but I can say that he did not start it. So that is important to understand. I would also like to point out that this is not a personal vendetta that I have against any individual board member. It's not out of, blind loyalty to the previous manager. I am offended that certain board members seem to have a blatant disregard for the democratic process and transparency in our local government. And that's why I started the recalls. I think the paper said something like, I started the recalls because tenants and citizens want to know why the manager's contract was terminated. Absolutely, we want to know why, and we deserve to know why, but the root of the issue is I'm seeing a glaring lack of respect for the tradition of democracy in our local government, and I feel that certain members of the commission are not taking their role seriously in terms of what they owe the public who elected them. Beyond the official reason that I give on the petition sheet for recalling these 4 port commissioners, there are quite a few different reasons that motivated me to initiate this. I've noticed some comments on social media referencing their volunteer status and how we should give them a chance before making any rash decisions. And to that I would have to say that unless you experience the day-to-day interaction between port staff, the port manager, and the board, and unless you are privy to certain actions by individual board members in the past few months, it might seem rash, but I'm here to tell you that it is not. This recall is well-founded, and it was started because I feel the staff has no other advocacy or recourse. And again, it is not a personal vendetta against any one commissioner. It's that I have a lot of respect for public office and the tradition of democracy, and I expect more integrity from a public officer that we elected than what we've seen demonstrated by certain board members. I don't think that they really appreciate the weight of their responsibility to the citizens for their decisions and their actions. There's no room for secrecy in government, and there's no reason for it, and that is why the public is upset. That's why I'm upset. We want transparency. We want explanations. A board of commissioners is supposed to act as a collective unit. They're supposed to come together at public meetings. There needs to be a quorum, a majority of commissioners present, before any business is transacted. In the previous months, there have been actions taken by individual board members that have left us wondering, when was this decision made? How was this decision made? This doesn't seem to be above board. And I don't want to get into speculative accusations, but I will say that there's been a lot to question recently with certain board members. There are board members that are holding port property privately, and that does not seem right to me. I think port property needs to be retained by the port. And so it's a combination of all of these reasons why I initiated the recalls. I want a board that I believe in and that we all can trust, and that steps up to the plate and is transparent with their actions and decisions. And I haven't seen that with the current board. What's more, and what's been really unfortunate and disappointing, is that they seem to... There was a lack of foresight before terminating the port manager's contract. If I were a commissioner, I would hope that I would make my intention known before this happened and go through the correct procedure and express my concern, whatever it is, and possibly find an interim manager to take the place very soon. If you've been to a public meeting recently, there seems to be no real direction among the board, and it's very disconcerting. There's been an utter lack of leadership since the port manager was terminated. The morning after that Friday, 2 commissioners came to the port office, and I would say they gave us an explanation, but basically they denied having to give us an explanation. And what's really disheartening about it is their attitude. They've adopted this defensive stance, this mindset that has a feeling of, well, we don't have to tell you. Instead of being collaborative and showing concern and courtesy for the port staff, saying something like, we made this decision, we understand that it seems sudden, and we understand that you'll be confused and that this is going to be a tough next couple of months. something showing a little humanity. I haven't seen any of that. In fact, it gets worse every day. It's been miserable at the port since this decision was made. Like I said, there's been no leadership. Some commissioners there were motions to assign some commissioners certain roles of responsibility, but then we've received different instruction from different commissioners. Certain individual commissioners are still taking their own action that I don't remember hearing any motion for, and it's beyond confusing. We don't understand what's going on. Things are starting to slip through the cracks, and it's so frustrating for port staff because maybe we didn't agree with the decision to terminate the manager, but we do believe in the port, and we do love the port, and we want to show up to work and do our best to keep things running and moving forward, but we can't if we don't have clear leadership. And so it's another reason why I don't trust the board and I do not believe in them. And I hope that if a commissioner is watching this, know that what I'm saying is coming from a place of sincerity and honesty. And that's what I feel that the board is lacking for the public. And I saw the article in today's paper about Commissioner Thompson and how he should resign. The only thing I can say to that is I myself am also disappointed. If I were ever found guilty of an ethics violation when I held public office, I hope that I would at least acknowledge this and say, I am sorry, I know that you trust me, you elected me to this position, instead of just brushing it off as something, oh, that'll probably be seen as a simple mistake. It's embarrassing and it's unfortunate. So I don't want to ramble, but I hope that I painted a clear picture of what's happening at the port. It's not necessarily a personal basis that we want to see these board members recalled. It's that we want order, we want strong leadership that we can trust, that the public can trust. And that's all that I can think of to say. So in summary, it's not what happened at the Port of Brookings Harbor, it is how it happened and how things continue to transpire. I hope I answered a lot of your questions. If you're interested in learning more about the petition or possibly signing it, please comment below and someone will contact you about where to go and how to sign. I strongly encourage all citizens of the Port District to attend the public board meetings. Right now they're meeting every Tuesday at 6 p.m. You can find the times and locations on the Port's website, portofbrookingsharbour.com, also on the bulletin board at the Port's main office. Again, thanks for listening, and I hope to see you at the next meeting.